What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bitchuation Room. I was holding a weird pose for a long time before the end of that music. And for those of you who are listening, it's better that you didn't see it. It's better. I'm your host, Francesca Fiorentini. So good to have you here, everyone, from the YouTubes, from the Facebook, from the Twitch. I did a TikTok today. Oh, no, yesterday. I did a TikTok. That's how you're supposed to say it. It's just Maggie Smith doing a TikTok. What's up, Todd Roy on 2 platforms? I don't know if that's healthy. Andrew Martin, Stephen from the UK. We have Kimberly from Australia. Michelle from Georgia. What's going on, you guys? So good to have you here. We have such a good show. We got Eliza Skinner, Carlos Maza. We're talking about Jeff Bezos and where he's going to be in 20 years. Think about that. He's going to be either running shit or, all right, we'll talk about it later. Save it, Francesca. I wanted to remind you all, if you're watching, to make sure to hit the little like button, subscribe, make sure that you get alerts when we're going live. If you're listening in the future, my future friends, do I make it big? Just let me know. But rate this podcast, give it 5 stars. Thank you so much already for everyone who's done that. You guys have written some really sweet reviews, and I appreciate it. This week, we are raising funds, as we do every week, for a different cause, for Raices Texas DACA Fund. If you didn't hear, Trump administration is not going to listen to the Supreme Court. What else is new? We're a banana republic. So we're going to be supporting their work that benefits immigrant youth, and they provide legal services and social services and advocacy. So tip us. It helps this show stay alive. TBR-Live on Venmo, TBR Live on Cash App. Thank you so much, as always, for that. And let me just bring in my homeboy for the hour, comedian, labor organizer, Mr. Nato Green.
What's up, everybody? Sad dad on the case. Cheers.
Sad dad.
Sad
oh,
dad.
Yeah. Sad dad's gonna get to it.
I no cocktail tonight, just straight bourbon.
Oh, yeah, that's straight sad dad. Did your child pour that for you? Because that'd be solid.
Do you know I have a special ice cube tray for Han Solo frozen in carbonite ice cubes.
What are those words together?
Excuse me. Empire Strikes Back at the end, Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. And then at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Anecdote. I thought it was something like some sort of AOC. What was the thing you called? I don't know. I thought it was something esoteric, but it's Han Solo. I know what that is.
Yeah, Han Solo frozen in carbonite. Yeah. So so I have ice cubes shaped like Han Solo frozen in carbonite.
Nice.
To go with my Willet bourbon here.
Oh, Dad's also a nerd.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to bring in our guest comic, Nato.
Please do. She's the best.
Super stoked. She's a stand-up comic, actor, writer who's been seen on The Late Late Show with James Corden, Chelsea lately, and TBS has dropped the mic. She's also the head writer of a forthcoming Disney Plus show called Earth to Ned. Please welcome Eliza Skinner.
Hey, hi. How are you?
Here. I wish I was queer. I feel like that would make the apocalypse easier.
Yeah. It's
Eliza,
so hard to not say, like, how are you? And the answer is always, the way we all are. That's how I am.
Eliza, some of the people in the comments are requesting a sighting of your dog.
Yes. Oh. Already. If you could just, yeah. Oh, yeah. Eliza's dog is currently gnawing on
a Kong. He gets a frozen Kong when I do Zooms so that he will chill out. And then later on, he'll be sleeping back there.
Nice.
He's
all right.
Cute.
Dude, that deserves a like, y'all. That deserves 5 stars. You guys got your wish. Eliza's dog is adorable if you're just listening to this. Let's jump into it. Eliza, we start the show off with just a very standard, what are you bitching about right now? Mm-hmm. Just because, why would we look at the current situation from a positive light? Just let's always Let's lean into the darkness is what I'm saying.
And I go first with my bitching?
Oh, you can go whichever order you want.
Well, I need to hear your bitches so that I know where mine should land. Because I don't want if you're like, nuclear disarmament, and I'm like sugary cereal. That's not good.
Yeah. But way to get this show.
We contain multitudes.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I'll go first because I never do, and I will because we used to actually bitch about, I'd bitch about hot yoga, nails, things when I enjoyed life more. And now it's just why won't the ruling class understand that they're fomenting revolution currently and it's going to be violent anyway? But I'm not going to do that. This week I am going to bitch about salads. Because
coming in hot.
A salad. I know it's hot as balls in a lot of people's towns, and including Los Angeles. And I made a very nice dinner. I was like, I'm just gonna make 3 salads, just a light, and it was for some friends, very socially distant, emotionally and physically, and so much work. You gotta toast the pine nuts, and you gotta saute the thing, and you gotta grate the cheese, and you're doing 3 things at once, and you're boiling potatoes, and at the end of the day you eat it all and you're not full. And I'm just like, fuck a salad, honestly. I could have made this exact amount of labor and I would have been full. And so I get it. I get why we're supposed to, and yes, they're tasty. I just think that the work is not worth it.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about this the other day, that I've been cooking so much, and I never used to cook. I pridefully was like, if it's not frozen, I don't eat it. But now, I know how to make anything I ever want. And so and I used to only, every time I would go to a restaurant, I would be like, well, let me order something I don't know how to make, or I wouldn't want to have to bother making at home, which at that point was everything. But now I'm like, I can make that, I can make that, I can make that. So the only thing that I order out is salads, because I'm like, oh, you have to chop so many little things, and then eat a whole amount of that vegetable. I can't do that. I'm going to keep part of a carrot. Come on. So I
appreciate that.
I understand.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts about emulsions? Let's get into it.
Oh, well, I do like making salad dressings. I use my old jars once there's just a little bit of mustard left in there, and I pour some, it's good, and then you shake it up. It's great.
My mom bought an emulsifier, and I was like, you got played. You got played.
Is that just a tiny blender? I don't get it.
It's just it doesn't matter.
Is it a guy who shakes your jar for you?
I wish. Oh my God, I wish.
He's also a hamburger helper. She says it to help with that.
Yeah, fuck a salad.
My issue with salad is most of the time I would rather have a cooked vegetable, like a chard or a roasted asparagus, than a fresh salad. You know what I'm saying?
I guess so. It's all too much work.
Yeah, I like a nice chilled meal sometimes, especially when it's this hot. But yeah,
a gazpacho.
Oh, dude, I love a gazpacho.
I do love a gazpacho, but sometimes I feel like I'm drinking salsa.
Yeah,
I just thought of a cute cartoon, but it like the gazpacho, but it's like Gestapo, but it teaches you about World War II. Anyway, Nato, what are you bitching about?
So I'm bitching about toppling and replacing statues. So yeah, again. So there's been this thing of like people tearing down statues of murderers, enslavers, and colonizers, which is great. I am here for it. Tear them all down. Throw every Christopher Columbus into the ocean. I'm with it. It's great. But then the next step is where they lose me, because then people are like, we need to replace them with statues of good people, like we need to put up a statue of this indigenous leader or whatever, and that's where I don't agree with, because I feel like only murderers want to be put in statue form, you know what I mean, like I don't think Harriet Tubman was like, yeah, cast me in bronze, you know?
Also,
And
no
so,
one looks good. You know what I
right,
mean? Like, it's not like, oh yeah, dude, you know what'd be fly? Me in bronze. Like, do
me in
you ever
bronze.
look like yourself or look good?
Like,
Yeah.
I think
Let's
the
get some public
idea,
art going.
the only statue that I like is the statue of the Haymarket Martyrs in Chicago.
That's good.
I like that statue, but most of the time it's like I just feel like statues are for murderers, and I like the idea of not replacing them. Assuming, God willing, inshallah, that ohala, that history survives, that civilization survives, and I get to have grandchildren. I want to reach the day where I get to tell my grandchildren, where they're like, Grandpa, why is there this like pile of rubble and a broken plinth in front of City Hall? Because of course my grandchildren would know the word plinth and use it in casual conversation.
One of them will be named Plinth, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh honey, those are ruins. Like when we got here, there was another civilization of like when we arrived, there's a whole culture of like decadent, stupid, mean, greedy people who didn't believe in science, and their society collapsed and we barely survived, and all that remains of them now is this broken plinth and all you can eat buffets.
Well, there is, this is like a little bit of history. I went to the Terracotta Soldiers in China, in which was like hundreds and hundreds of statues, essentially soldiers that were to be buried with this emperor who died. I forgot what emperor it was. Anyway, 2010 BC. Who remembers? But the point is that all of his advisors were like, he was like, I want to be buried with like 100 horsemen, and his advisors were like, no, you can't kill. People can't just like, commit, whatever. Like, it's not like some sort of weird honor killing where they die with you. No one's going to die for you in this. And so he was like, fine, well, they can just be made out of clay. So they made him out of clay. But a few years later, the whole the empire was like toppled, and people stormed into where he was buried and physically ruined and destroyed every single terracotta soldier, which I think is dope. And now they've been a little bit reconstructed, but it's so beautiful because you go there and it's like, you don't see an emperor, you see like revolution. Anyway, I can be niche too, Nato.
I get what you're saying, Nato, and I feel like I struggle a lot with being like, who needs heroes? We don't need heroes. Be your own hero. Find them in your life and in yourself. You don't need to put up a statue. But then I worry that like we could like get everybody to agree to that, and then some doink is going to show up and be like, what about these statues of me? And then the door is just wide open if we don't purposefully go like, hey, what about this person who created the best biscuits? Let's give them a hand. Like, right. Whatever. Things that actually affect people's lives. But yeah, it should never be a statue of someone who knows they're getting a statue of themselves.
That's true. We should retroactively, beyond the grave, choose who was a hero. And maybe it was someone who made good biscuits. So look, bacon quarantine like Eliza is probably bacon, because yes, we might make a statue in 10 years when we all die.
when I don't know if I've mentioned it here on the show yet, but I lived in Cuba, and when I in my neighborhood, like on the corner by my house, there was a statue. It was just a bust of Yasser Arafat, but like sneezing. It was like the most unremarkable, uninteresting statue. It was like clearly someone just needed to like fill out the roster of statues.
I love that statue. I love that shit. I'd want a bust of Yasser Arafat sneezing. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just make it public art. Just like get people inspired. And what do you want to stick up there that means our community?
Right.
Eliza, what are you bitching about?
What I'm bitching about is the people who are the story about the people who were on a plane and refused to wear masks, so the plane had to turn around and come back. I feel like my the amount of change I have been able to affect in my life and hope for in the world, I often think of, if you remember in the Sleeping Beauty, when Maleficent shows up and is like, this baby will die. And then the little fat fairies show up and are like, okay, well, we can't keep them from dying. Can't keep her from dying. But what if it was sleeping instead? And I kind of feel like that about this, where I'm like, okay, if we can't make you people wear masks, like at least when you're on the plane, just put them on then. And then when you get off the plane, yell about it and rant about it. Make your video about how mean they were that they made you wear a mask, but just get there. Just put it on and get there. You bought a ticket, right?
Yeah, honestly, the Sleeping Beauty reference is incredible. Ne'er have I seen such a Disney princess reach. That is so. It's true. I think that pilots should just, drop suddenly and make the oxygen masks drop and be like, suckers, what does it take? I can't imagine the fucking stress. You're already on a plane. This is your first trip in so long. You're probably going to see your family members. You're there. Maybe you're halfway through this flight. You got your face shield and your mask, and talk about doinks, which is now my new favorite word. Thank you, Eliza.
You're welcome.
Not wearing masks, and you got to turn around.
You got to turn.
Oh my God.
There had to have been a moment where they were like, seriously, you put it on right now, or we're turning around. And they were like, and they turned around, like, just.
So they literally said, like, we're going to turn this plane around, sir or ma'am.
Turned around.
And then did.
Landed, had to take them off. And then I believe still went where they were planning on going, but much later and much more freaked out for everybody involved.
Hope there were some good vouchers involved in that.
Yeah, it's probably just like a free Starbucks or something. No good vouchers anymore in the airline industry.
Damn it. It's a good bitch, dude. It's a good bitch.
Thank you.
Reminding us of Maleficent. All right, let's get into this. Nato?
Should we do some comments?
I would love to do some comments. Oh my God, I'm not in a rush at all.
Eliza, Steven says you're a good rapper. I can testify. I've witnessed it.
Thank you.
Not going to ask you to rap now, but everyone check out Eliza Skinner's rapping.
Yeah, it's difficult because it's something that I'm weirdly good at, but not anything that I think the world needs to see more white ladies do. So I'm like, I'm good at a form of appropriation that I don't totally enjoy trotting out. But it's
just don't do it at a BLM demo, or maybe do it. There's a way.
These white ladies taking the microphones at protests and like taking over the chants. It's driving me crazy.
It raises a question for me. Do you think, like, if you not, and I'm not saying this is true about you rapping, but it reminds me of another circumstance I've encountered. Do you think that if someone is like the best in the world at something that has like no market value or relevance, is that beautiful for them to be the best at something, at just some random thing, or tragic?
I think it's both. And I say that with authority because I am incredibly good at musical improv. And that's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I am exactly probably one of, if not the best. At points, I have been probably the best in the world or in a large place at that. And it is totally useless and not at all what pays for my groceries or rent.
Some things should remain hobbies, Eliza. And I'm not saying you're not good, but musical improv, I believe maybe that's one of them.
I agree, 100%.
Although, bail out the artists. We need that money. I wanna read a couple of bitching that Kamala will be picked for vice president. That's DJ Rezio or DiRezio said that. Who knows? Who knows? Someone, Chris, what's up, Chris, from Texas, bitching about the baseball commish. What's the baseball? Who's the baseball commish? He's not taking enough precautions for players. It's about to get shut down again. Oh yeah, we're lamenting MLB, which was the only saving grace of the fall. Was like, I don't know, maybe baseball, maybe sports,
hockey.
And now,
Never mind. Sorry. Yeah.
Although there's a lot of masks involved in that, so it's good. Someone else is bitching, I think. Where is it? 18 new cases in Manitoba County. That's in Arizona?
Manitoba? That sounds like Canadian.
Wisconsin?
Let us know where the fuck Manitoba is. And I'm sorry in advance. Tip us, TBR-live, for our geographical knowledge of the world. All right, dude, let's get into this week. As you guys know,
Canada.
Nato was right. Thank you.
I'm going to knowledge. I'll get back to wine labeling momentarily.
Look, Terracotta Soldiers, I will raise you. All right, we're moving on to the week where, because we live in a time, we don't know what time it is at all. We don't know what days are, or time is, or weeks are, or anything, or how to be social anymore. And there's also a fuck ton of news coming at us incredibly fast. It's a fire hose of diarrhea, and it's hard to keep track of, and it's hard to get away from. It's like, both. It's inescapable. So we are going to track a few stories for you that we found interesting in this last week in the segment, The Week Where. Hold for music.
Sorry.
Thank you. You're about to get hit by, that is an oncoming truck of a segment right there. This was The Week Where businessman and former Republican presidential candidate Herman Cain died of coronavirus. Cain tested positive just 9 days after attending Trump's indoor rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Marco Rubio tweeted out his condolences with a picture of himself and Elijah Cummings. The Trump administration, of course, is just going down like every bad action film. Like, we can see it in slow motion. And this is the part where the black friend dies, right? He's been trotted out this whole time. Now he's his first one dead. And the hero's like, look, he took one for the team, but we will not be swayed from our quest to stop a killer virus by golfing again. Very sad.
Yeah, I feel like I know that he's been involved with the Trump administration, but I guess in the avalanche of garbage news that is always involved in it, I'd kind of missed him. Like, I hadn't heard much about him for the last few years. So when he died, I was like, oh, that guy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember that guy. It was like when you find out someone who was like awful in your high school got like OD'd on something. Like, oh, right. Well, I kind of saw that coming.
He died of COVID after attending the Trump rally in Tulsa. And now the Republicans are trying to walk this line of like publicly mourning the death of Herman Cain without mentioning that their own anti-science denialism killed him and hoping that no one notices. This is some gangster shit to deny the responsibility for killing the guy that everyone just saw you kill. Like, it's like, yeah, he was walking and he tripped and fell down a flight of stairs and into a platter of spikes and then drowned in a vat of cholera. And then after death, ground up his body and buried it in the foundation of a new library. Nobody saw it coming.
Yeah. A different administration would have to treat this like those the laser lights when like a bank robber has to get in between those and be like, well, it's not our fault because also it is our fault. But this one is just like, no, not it. Nope. We didn't do it. But you did. No. It's just a hammer of dumb.
Mm-hmm. This was also the week where the Trump administration, as mentioned earlier, defied the Supreme Court, saying it would not uphold DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, and is claiming to only support 1-year extensions to the current beneficiaries on a case-by-case basis. According to DH Secretary Drakkar Noir as a person, Chad Wolf, residents will be allowed to remain if they can prove they've bought 3 months of Goya beans and called ice on their abuela. Only if.
The Department of Homeland Security has launched a comprehensive review of DACA. It's all very bureaucratic. The Trump administration is so committed to their racism that they have guys in cubicles working on new ways of being racist, like cubicle level. You know what I mean? Like a guy alphabetizing insurance claims. They have entire office buildings somewhere in Northern Virginia of guys who like clock in at 9, work straight through till lunch at 11:15, fluorescent lights, stress balls, poring over paperwork, trying to come up with new ways of doing a racism without looking racist. It's a big commitment.
It's all just like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Like it's the same game people played in the backseat of a station wagon on car trips when you were a kid. It was like, it doesn't matter. You're still being racist, but I'm not touching you.
Yeah. This is true. It's funny though, because I imagine that department NATO is just different people trying out different dog whistles, like big ones, small ones, green ones, red ones, and this administration doesn't even use
this one's a
whistles.
sousaphone.
Nah, there's no need. We don't use them anymore now. This was the week where unemployment benefits ran out. Extra unemployment benefits. They ran out on Friday, same day that Beyonce released her new visual album, which is a complete clash of emotions. That's like having someone kick you in the genitals and then immediately start going down on you. I'm not trying to kink shame, but Congress can't come to an agreement about how much they'll screw over the American people. If you guys have been following, Senate Republicans say that receiving a check from the government every month disincentivizes working, and they would know. I mean, Republicans want to cut extra unemployment benefits by 2/3, while the democratically controlled House passed a $3 trillion rescue package, which extends jobless aid and offers rental assistance, but also does things like give money to the healthcare scam Cobra. So watching these two parties haggle over a stimulus plan is like watching two dirty seagulls just fight over your sandwich, and you're totally rooting for like the smaller one, but you don't really know why. It just seems like the underdog, and you're like, I guess, because at the end of the day, like your lunch is still going to be pecked into inedible nothingness.
From the very beginning, the argument about, well, but if it's $600, that'll be, for some people, that'll be like more than they make otherwise. That'll be like, it's like, that should be a red flag to you about a lot of problems with the country. You're pointing to a whole different problem we should fix. That people aren't making enough money. It's so. I'm sorry. I'm too upset about the entire concept of run the country like a business.
Yeah.
When we'll just declare bankruptcy, I guess. When it doesn't work, not like take care of your citizens.
So July 31 marks the end of the enhanced unemployment benefits that were passed under the CARES Act. So just to recap the stats, there are 30 million unemployed Americans right now, 25% of the workforce. GDP shrunk by 1/3 in the last quarter, the most on record ever since the beginning of records. Before that, 8 tracks. And there are projections of a wave of millions of evictions. It's so bad that reporters have used up their thesauruses trying to come up with new ways to talk about how fucked up things are. Like it's a tsunami of evictions. GDP is in a nosedive. The job market is getting a lubeless fisting. Like it's all that was in the Wall Street Journal. And that to take you back, kids, in 2008, on the eve of the Great Recession, when Obama was running against Clinton for the Democratic nomination, people don't remember this, but Wall Street backed Obama. And I believe to my dying day that there is a section of Wall Street aristocrats who knew that the economy was about to implode and picked the black guy so that people would freak out about that, because otherwise bankers would get dragged from their homes. So, Bituation fans, I'm not saying that you should drag bankers and corporate executives from their homes and expropriate their mansions as quarantine zones for COVID-infected immigrant meatpacking workers. I'm just saying that if you did do that, that would be a rational choice.
I'm saying you should. I mean, I don't understand why this is affecting all of this is affecting the most vulnerable people in our society. If only COVID was like something that you could only catch on a private jet,
right?
Like, wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, you get it from high-end juice fasts in Beverly Hills only. Well, wow, we would have some fucking answers and programs in place for people.
If it were from yoni eggs, that would wipe out half of the female population in Los Angeles, though. So I don't want that necessarily.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying just any high-end thing. Just stupid. Well, no, that is a pretty stupid
just
one.
The juice. Yeah, well, gotta
just
try it once.
Let's stick to private jets.
Try private jets.
Yeah, if only it was only circulated through the air in private jets.
God damn it. This was the week where Ellen Degeneres apologized for what former staffers say was a toxic work environment full of sexual misconduct, favoritism, retaliation, random firing, manipulation, and a whole lot of dancing. Hey. Ellen apologized and said she didn't know what was happening on her behalf and that, quote, I was not able to stay up on top of everything, basically pulling a Finding Dory. Who, me? I'm the head of a show? What? I'm powerful? If her taste in executive producers is anything like her taste in former presidents, we can only imagine the Ellen show is the Abu Ghraib of daytime. Everybody is standing all day long, sleep deprived, and a woman in pants is dancing over your body. That's what I got.
So I'm not sure it's that bad. One staffer was reported as saying she's only addressing this now because the publicity is so bad for her and her BS brand of happiness and kindness. Whenever she'd tell viewers to choose kindness, I'd throw up a little in my mouth because she always chose the opposite. This is not that bad. Like it's bad to throw up, but if you're going to throw up, throwing up a little in your mouth seems like a starting place to throw up. You know what I mean? Like entry level, imagine how much worse it would be if the staff member threw up a lot from their ear. So Eliza, you've been in positions of responsibility on, you've been a head writer on TV shows. Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity, how hard is it to be in a position of power on a TV set and not ask subordinates for sex? Is that difficult?
It's pretty easy. Well, for me personally, and maybe it's because I'm a Taurus, it's pretty easy. I have seen a lot of other people struggle with it, though. So I don't know if it's just a thing for me. Also, though, I would say, Ellen, that is not true. All of the whole, I didn't know what they were doing. Yes, that would be a really irresponsible way to be a boss. But you did know it, and you were doing, she's notoriously not a fun person to work for. I have no experience with her, but everyone who has worked here has heard stories about her. And I think that I think just more and more we're seeing the dividing line is billionaires. That's the problem. Are you a super rich person? Maybe your wealth has made you lose sight of how to treat human beings.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a big thing to fix in the whole society.
The number of enablers, it's also it's just I feel like people's job descriptions at this point are just enabler one, it's
cover for that person.
Yeah.
It's just cover for her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Is it possible to not know what's going on your own show?
On a daily show, I mean, I guess it could be, but a show that is with your name on it, I would say no. It's all to make sure you can do your job. That's what you do on a show with a host. Everyone is just working to make sure that host can do what they need to do because they're the whole show. You're working to dress them. You're working to make them happy. You're working to write the stuff for them. So it's not like everyone's doing the show and then they're over here. The show is that person. So what you're doing is that person constantly. Sure. So
apparently what they were doing was preventing people from looking her in the eyes. Apparently you're not supposed to look Ellen directly in the eyes.
Yeah, everything is to create the situation and the feeling that they need in order to do their job. I worked for Joan Rivers, and one of her things was she needed to have 18 bajillion writers constantly. She needed to feel like she had
really 25.
Well, basically, it was 12, but anyone in the room with a brain could potentially throw a joke to her. She was like, I want all the jokes, all the jokes, all the jokes. And that's what she needed to feel like she can run a show. She needs to feel like she has access to all the jokes in the world. So anything else that Ellen needs to do her show, that's what she has needed to do that show.
She needs George W. Bush to do the show. She needs that kind of energy.
She needs no eye contact from people that she does not deem eye contact worthy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. When I have my own show.
When?
Oh, that's right. Hey, welcome to the Bitchuation Room, guys. I'm Francesca Fiorentini. No, when I have a show that I don't also have to edit, I definitely am a kombucha bitch, dude. I'm like, there must be different flavors of kombucha always all around me. Everyone can drink them, but they have to be there.
Oh yeah, when I was on Corden, anytime Corden was on a diet, was trying to lose weight, just there were just no more snacks for anybody. For the like it was only those seaweed papers.
Oh God!
Stacks and stacks of those seaweed papers, and you have people who are like editing super fast, or like showing up, but like, nope, seaweed paper. That's all anyone needs.
Snacks couldn't be anywhere because he couldn't control himself. James Corden, God damn it. Well, Nato, do you have anything to add on this week? Was there a Beyonce note you wanted to add?
No, I'm good.
Well, I look forward to your Medium post about Black is King, which came out this weekend.
Yeah, everybody needs to hear what the middle-aged white dad has to say about Black is King.
Yes,
and Afrocentrism.
No, you'll watch it with your girls. Eliza, thank you so much for being on the Bitchuation Room.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me.
Everyone, follow Eliza. What at Eliza Skinner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Watch the show that's coming out on Disney Plus. One more reason to get Disney Plus, not for Beyonce, not for Hamilton, which, by the way, since we have Eliza on, Hamilton's been stuck in my head nonstop, and now Eliza, your name kicked that up for me once again.
Yeah, it was really weird when it debuted, and I was getting, I saw all these people that like I know in my feed and on Twitter just being like, so what do you think about like Eliza dies eventually? And I'm like, what? I do? I mean, yeah, I guess I do. Like all these discussions about Eliza, and I'm like, what? Oh, right. There's another
How's
Eliza
the orphanage now going? Like, I guess I want to start an orphanage one day. What? Anyway, Eliza Skinner, Earth to Ned on Disney Plus coming out very, very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Be well. Bye. She's off to go cook an amazing dinner, I'm sure. I'm jealous. Nato?
I'm ready to talk to our guest.
Let's bring in our goddamn guest. Let me fucking prepare. Everybody, just wait 1 second. Wait for it. Damn it. Another Hamilton reference. Fuck. You guys, you have seen his work on Vox, on YouTube, on Twitter as @GayWonk. You might know him as the Gay Wonk. You might know him as the digital Marxist, kicking the hornet's net on the internet time and time again, saying fuck the haters. He is a video producer creating leftist political essays. He is the creator of Strikethrough on Vox, member of the 2019 Out magazine, Out 100, and is generally trying to be a decent human being at the end of the world. Wow. Please welcome Carlos Maza.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
I really hope that this interview will leave you satisfied. It's my Hamilton reference. It's my attempt at a Hamilton reference.
God damn it. No.
Sorry.
It's been like, I have like 5 a.m. wake ups, like stress about an hour where I can't sleep between 5 and 6 a.m. And it's very much like, wait for it. I am the one thing in life that can't be desanitized. It's constant. The Hamilton is constant. Don't watch Hamilton. I mean, watch it, but only once. If
you can. I'd be impressed if someone could watch it only once. It's stuck on my head for the rest of my life.
I just went down a rabbit hole reading about the Aaron Burr treason trial. Do you know about it?
No.
There's all this stuff about Aaron Burr and Hamilton, but after Aaron Burr is vice president at the point that he kills Hamilton, and then he's vice president, I think, for Jefferson's first term, doesn't stay with Jefferson for the second term, and then goes out to the Western United States. And there's a belief on the part of Jefferson and the other Democratic Republicans that Aaron Burr is like instigating a conspiracy to create another country using Mexican land in the Western U.S. And so then they bring him back and try him for treason, and he ultimately gets acquitted. But like, there's this whole other, anyway, I just thought it was fascinating that there was this whole other storyline about Western land conspiracies.
Is there a musical to go along with that?
Not yet.
Like, I'm not really into like non-musical.
You're not really into non-musical versions of history.
Yeah.
Although, but because it's related to Mexican land acquisition, it's just like a bolero musical.
I'm into it.
Yeah, cool.
That'd be good. I write it, and thank you, Nato, for continuing to talk about Hamilton when I've explicitly said I didn't want to talk about it anymore.
Hey, I was not talking about Hamilton. I was dropping more obscure and useless, irrelevant knowledge.
Carlos.
Hi.
I have so many questions for you. This is the first time we've really hung out virtually or at all. And you do such dope work. And when you say like lefty political essays, it reminds me very much of the stuff I do. So we're like kindred and stuff.
I know. When I was first getting into video work, I used Newsbroke as like a model, and I was so mad that you had taken the name Newsbroke, because I was like, that is the perfect name for any media literacy show, is Newsbroke. So I've always felt like 10 steps behind you in my life in the best possible way. Following the leader.
That was like, it's like very non-obvious name, but we took a few days to like brainstorm. There was also Lol Jazeera was a runner-up for our show. Close runner-up.
So good. So good. What a waste.
Carlos, you should know that that's actually in Francesca's rider, that she requires all men to walk 10 steps behind her.
I'm down. To the extent that I qualify as a full man, I will walk as far behind you as you want.
Yeah.
Carlos, okay, so can I ask you briefly, now you're on your own, what can you do differently? Like, you're not with Vox anymore. How does it feel to like not be with a news organization? I'm sure that's hard and like feels a little like, do you have backing, whatever, but you've got lots of subscribers and your content's excellent. Like, what is different? Like, what can you do that you weren't allowed to do before?
I mean, the biggest thing is like when I was at Vox, I had a producer and an editor who were helping me make stuff. So I was basically just like writing and being on camera, and now I do everything by myself in this apartment. So it's a lot more steps in video production, but the much bigger thing is I don't have to meet a deadline or cover a topic that I'm not interested in. And so if I want to make like a long 20-minute video about police abolition and like have it be weird and experimental and like kind of theatrical, no one can tell me shit. So I never really felt when I was at Vox, like they said, don't be too lefty, but the freedom of knowing that no one will ever now tell me don't be too lefty means that I'm just much more like expansive and creative. And also I think there's like a quiet pressure, especially on any platform like YouTube, to just be making quick, small, bite-sized things that get you in the cycle. And there's like a time and place for that, and I get it, but I'm like much more interested in just like taking a fucking second to like slow down and figure out, just to think more thoughtfully and critically about stuff. And so I really like not having to ever worry about, is the window on this story closing, or like, is this video too long? Will the Facebook moms not watch this and be like, okay, they won't watch it, it's not for them. Like,
is it a challenge video?
Yeah, I don't ever want to have to worry about if the algorithm likes me. I just want to worry about if I like me and what I'm making. So right now I like really like me and what I'm making.
That's tight. I also, I hear you on there's a lot of, when you're in news media, it's very much like, yeah, we're not really looking for like an angle on the news. We're just looking for the news, but like, give us a personality, but like dry, but like, funny, but like, don't make a joke, but, how do I explain this? And that's very, that is the world we come from. And it's nice to be free of that.
It's tough to know sometimes, especially like in the new media space, if you are a reporter or an opinion person or an editor. And so it can be kind of weird in some edit meetings being like, am I allowed to say fuck the police or not? And now I never have to ask that question because I'm always allowed to say fuck the police. Just it's part of my job now. So it's nice to be not to worry about answering to anybody or worried about them like suddenly deciding that I've become too opinionated because of some external like corporate advertiser pressure that has nothing to do with me.
What's it like to like yourself though?
I just got here, and I would just say it's touch and go. If that makes you feel better. It's touch and go.
Carlos, you are, I think some people know your work from Vox, and you had sort of about a year ago a dust up, not really a dust up, but a dust up with YouTube specifically over a man named Steven Crowder, a political commentator and comedian in so many quotes, it obscures the word, who has this, show Louder with Crowder, and he consistently spoke about you and mocked you and explicitly in making fun of your race, your sexuality. And instead of taking it up with him, you took it up with YouTube. Can you just tell us what happened and what the fallout was?
Yeah, I was publishing at Vox for like 2 years, and basically from the first or second month that I was publishing, this dude was making like rebuttal videos.
I love him.
The substance of the rebuttals was like nothing more interesting than what you hear on Fox and Friends, but he was doing all this extra shit like calling me a lesbian queer and like making fun of my race. So I like flagged it to YouTube privately and like told my bosses about it, and nothing really got done. And it was happening for 2 years, and then one of his supporters got my phone number and was like doxing me, and I just get really frustrated. So I edited this supercut of like every time YouTube has these rules that say you can't basically just go after someone for being part of a marginalized group. Like you're not allowed to really engage in hate speech or like targeted harassment. So I edited together this compilation on that couch back there, like just frustrated one night, and published it. And I got a bunch of attention from tech reporters basically who were like, yo, this is a pretty clear violation of the rules. Why is this still happening?
Yeah.
And YouTube finally responded and said, YouTube really only responds when they have negative press. And they responded and said, okay, we'll look into it. And then went like radio silent for a couple of days. And then came back and said, it doesn't violate the rules because when he calls you let's be queer, that's not the point of his video. The point of his video is to debunk you. And he just happens to also call you let's be queer while he's doing it. So because that's not the purpose of what he's trying to say, it's allowed. And then they like demonetized him, but then they said if he like stopped saying certain things, they would remonetize him. It was like a huge clusterfuck. But basically the conclusion was YouTube didn't do jack shit, and YouTube has all these policies about harassment and hate speech that they don't enforce. And that's like, it's in this case, it was very true of YouTube, but also this problem of like not knowing how to enforce even basic content moderation rules that are on the books is true for basically every tech platform. Every publishing platform has this problem. So I just happened to have this big public fight with YouTube, and it like blew up my life for 6 months, I would say. Like not the best year of my life, but I'm really glad that I did it. Because I think a lot of reporters now are much more aware of the fact that YouTube is like this truly godless corporation that's really only interested in driving engagement and getting views to be profitable, and not in like enforcing either the letter or the spirit of its anti-hate policies. It just truly does not give a shit, which is like true of every corporation. But YouTube was also like turning their logo rainbow colors for Pride Month and like trotting out their LGBT creators for Pride Month. So I was like, specifically fuck YouTube for this case, because I don't like being used for PR stunts and then not getting even the basic protections when like stuff happens that actually affects my ability to do my job.
Right. And yet you and I and we're all on YouTube.
We're trapped. We're
still there. And it's hard. And I know NATO is still on Facebook. It's okay, dude. It's okay. Sad dad. Sad guy got a post. We all have our vices.
I got to poke some people sometimes.
I hear that.
I think my question is, so every time Newsbroke does a video on white nationalism, we fucking kick the hornet's nest like crazy, not deliberately. We're not like tagging Steven Crowder or people like this, and as I know you weren't either until you did, but like every time white nationalists will find our pieces about race and racism and immigration, for example, where we say, hey, Donald Trump wants to make America white again. That is not a radical statement in any moment of this administration. They'll come after us, they'll whatever, fuck up the algorithm. But a lot of my reaction to some of this right-wing hate is kind of like, and generally, I'll be honest with you, with Twitter overall, is like, this is not a place to be a marginalized group. Like, this is not a place to be a woman. This is not a place to be gay. This is not a place to be a person of color. This is an aggro, like, spit war between fragile virgins talking about, like Ulysses S. Grant or whatever the fuck they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, it is so how do you remain positive about tech potentially being used for not that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two problems that are separate, but very closely linked. One is that like every platform that allows people to publish and doesn't enforce rules will become 4chan, given enough time. That like just the nature of online posting is that people feel comfortable expressing their worst impulses, whether it's to get a reaction out of you or to genuinely express some kind of hatred. And there's this belief. I don't think tech companies believe this. I think they say that they believe this, but there's this belief that if you just let everyone talk, that a purely free speech market will let the best speech rise to the top and everything else will get pushed out.
Yeah.
There's never, ever, ever, ever been an example where that's happened. If you look at any fucking publishing platform, the opposite happens. The bullies start harassing people who are marginalized, and the marginalized people leave and say, I'm not doing this anymore, and they ban and ship, which is why like 4chan goes the way it does, why Reddit goes the way it does, why YouTube, Facebook, Twitter go the way it does, and why like Pinterest over enough time is going the way that it does.
Oh,
because
I mean, look at the Gutenberg Bible.
It's just bad speech wins almost always because it triggers like the tribal defensive response to people's brains in a way that compassion does not. So if you let everyone in the playground fight, the bullies will win no matter how wrong they are about bullying. So there's like that problem, which is just you have to enforce the rules. YouTube has this other problem, which is they like make a lot of money off of the alt-right. Like if you turned the alt-right into its own vertical on YouTube, it would be one of the highest engagement verticals on all of YouTube because it draws a lot of traffic and it keeps people on the site for a long time. So YouTube knows that if it shuts that stuff down, they'll have a less compelling pitch to advertisers about the amount of watch time on the platform. And so YouTube allows people to stay there and like drives viewers to them, even if it doesn't monetize them. And so it's like people are already shitty and YouTube is turning the shitty leaders of that tribe into superstars and heroes. And that makes it a lot worse. I think the answer is YouTubers should unionize. Like there's nothing that you can do from like a critic's perspective because YouTube's answer is, I don't fucking care and it makes us money, so screw you. But if enough YouTubers and creators recognized that they were being exploited and had no leverage to change the company and started to form some kind of digital creator union, that gives some leverage. But like the alternative to that is letting the government regulate it. And though I am like a big nanny state Marxist, I don't think I trust Congress to regulate the internet ever. I much trust a group of creators, including Steven Crowder. Like I'm advocating for unionizing with the dude who I do not like, but I think you have to give creators some, just like any union, you have to trust that the workers who make the stuff will advocate for their better conditions. And so I think that's the only reasonable next step for regulating a platform like YouTube.
Can I ask? So I mean, it seems like it's going to take it will take some kind of government action to get standards. And just like, whenever you watch hearings about technology, it's like these, like lame, like old, like 65-year-old congressmen, like talking about, like using like farming metaphors to try to talk about like technology algorithms. They just like are so hopelessly out of their depth. So can you talk about like if I've been like gotten my share of death threats by Nazis on Twitter. I don't know if you can see it in my face. I'm a Jew. This is Jew face. You can
For those of you just listening, imagine Jew face.
You imagine Two-Face like the nose is
Or just Nato
actually
Green.
like going through the screen and is on Carlos's couch from here. So like I've had Nazis like come at me hard on Twitter. I've learned like the state of anti-Semitism, like slurs that I didn't even know were anti-Semitic slurs. Like, you know, some of them sound cool actually. Like, so do you have a thought about like, you know, I'm not a tech person, so I don't understand it. Like, what would sensible regulation or like standards look like if to change it so that it wasn't just promoting hate and violence?
Yeah, it's really tough. I think the problem would be, my anxiety is if government required if government tried to dictate how you should regulate speech, that almost every tech platform or publishing platform would respond by saying, okay, then we're not going to regulate it at all. Like, we'll treat all speech completely equally so that we're not liable for regulation. So that's my fear, is I don't want to give any of these platforms an excuse to be like, you're right, we aren't regulating it well, so our answer is no moderation, total free-for-all. So that's my anxiety.
That's what happened with Facebook.
Right.
I'm going to jump in and just say, like, Facebook initially was like, well, we're probably going to fact check some of the things that are shared. And then right-wingers, which they consistently do still about Facebook, the platform that's straight up gotten authoritarians elected, they're still complaining that Facebook has a anti-right-wing bias. And Zuckerberg, you know, buckled under the pressure and he was like, fine, no editorial board, whatever, fuck it, every free-for-all. And there have been study after study, like Carlos is saying, that fake news and like extreme views, right, they get shared 10 times more frequently than real news. And I think I'm going to come down on the, like, we need government regulation and look, hey, I think the porn industry should be regulated for quality. Okay. Listen, here's the point. I think you can have, if the
people
KKK
should take their socks off before the porn taping.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But if
too many porns with people wearing socks.
Yeah, too much lighting.
Naked,
I don't need to see that much.
Yeah.
Fucking put some candles up there.
Yeah, they always have a watch on and socks in the porn.
Yeah,
and
where
that's
are you
not
going?
Right. Yeah.
But I just want to say, like, the quality control would be, hey, in the same way of, like, I don't want to live in a neighborhood that has 10 gun stores and no bookstores. I don't want to live on an internet and work on an internet where there are, you know, 200 channels that tell you that racism isn't real and only one channel that talks about the civil rights movement. You know what I mean? So it's like, it maybe there are, and then I don't mean shutting things down, but like applying, you know, applications to be like, hey, we want to be another white nationalist channel. Like, sorry, man, we're all topped out of the white nationalist channels, you know, like, and so I think I come down a little heavier than because fuck Crowder, man. No one wants to form a union with him because those fools prey on all of our dads that watch a CNN video and then they go down a goddamn rabbit hole and suddenly they believe that Bill Gates has put a microchip in our heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's as a union guy, it's the kind of person who would demand representation when they are like being disciplined, but then would cross the picket line for everybody else.
Right.
I mean, there's how much of it, Carlos, do you think is inherent to tech, and how much of it is like symptoms of other problems in our culture? Like, so I have 12-year-old kids, and my kids will do like research projects for school, and we'll end up watching like history videos on YouTube, and we're pretty, you know, because of who our family is, like we're pretty rigorous about Marxist dad about like, did the video say the words dialectical materialism? Like, did, you know, if not, then you can't use it in your class essay. Like verifying that the videos that they're using, like teaching them to view these videos with a critical eye so that they can check, like, is this a credible source or is this just some garbage that's being fed to me by the algorithm? And like, you know, a lot of people are not learning how to have a critical lens to as media consumers in a lot of ways, and how to evaluate sources. Like, do you think it's, how much of it is the technology and how much of it is the technology is a symptom of other forms of social deterioration?
I think I'm very skeptical as like a systems person of putting too much weight on individuals and how they critically think about this stuff, because I think of myself as a critical thinker, and even if I were truly exposed to the amount of awful conspiracy stuff on YouTube would start feeling it after a while. And there was all this reporting done last year about how like Facebook moderators who were literally trained to recognize conspiracy theories and take them down started believing like conspiracy theories over just sheer time because repetition makes your brain accept it. So I don't think the answer is, I think training is like not training people to think critically is not enough. I do think it's a tech problem in the sense that people who run these platforms, for the most part, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, but are not people who've thought very critically about race, power, or propaganda and how those things work. It's not their background. And so their understanding of like what certain types of speech do to a target audience is very like intro to philosophy 101, like freshman in college, dumbass knee-jerk reaction. Like they truly do think
Turning Point USA.
They just think like any bad idea can be beat by a good idea and that's it. And so they had that kind of blinder on, that they're just like not smart enough to be managing speech platforms. And then there's this other concern, which is they are smart enough to know how to make money. And every fucking tech CEO knows that hate speech and general batshit is very good for your bottom line. That stuff is much more engaging than thoughtfulness or fact checks. So they will create an ideology that justifies non-intervention, but the real motive is completely profit-centric, which is why, whether it be government or unions, you need a governing body at all these platforms that has some concern for well-being, both of the audience and the creators, that is divorced from profit. And there's nothing, I wish I could like appeal to Mark Zuckerberg and say, dude, you know this is bad, but he does know, and he just doesn't give a shit. So there's nothing, there's no argument to make that will change their mind. Their mind's already been changed. They just don't care.
It's really shocking that Mark Zuckerberg, who invented a platform to rate how hot women were, is like on the fence about racial justice.
He just doesn't have the range. He's not equipped for this kind of job. He's totally out of his depth. So I'm not surprised that he's a dumbass about it. Because how could he not be a dumbass about this stuff?
I just want to read a comment from YouTube. David Durai says, unrepealed, the FCC fairness doctrine ended in 1987. Fox incorporated next day and added new platforms to its re-regulation like hate talk radio, cable, internet, and social media. Absolutely. I think the fairness doctrine is one of those things we have to look into more. The amount that people get away with, and we're talking about YouTube, right? Like, turn on Fox News, the shit that comes out of their mouths, the violence and the hatred that they incite. And I think, Carlos, you're totally right. The hearing in the, what was it, the antitrust House committee this week, which was actually a better hearing than I think, NATO, the ones you were referencing before, like where like lawmakers are totally out of their depth. This one was better because it was the lawmakers came in with a sort of a clear, I mean, if you're a Republican, it was like, why are you biased? And if you're a Democrat, you're asking, you know, why did you buy Instagram? Which, by the way, Mark Zuckerberg's response to why did you buy Instagram and sort of bully it out of the market was, well, it wasn't going to be successful on its own. Bitch.
Which is basically YouTube's or Google's argument for why they bought YouTube. Like, we had to come in there and make the shit profitable because it wasn't making enough money.
I'm so mad. I'm so many hair flips. I'm so angry about that. And beautiful moment. If you guys want to see Bezos gave, I think, the best testimony in that he looked the dumbest. And he straight up did not know. Lucy McBath, a congresswoman who asked him, and Lucy McBath is the mother of a young man who was killed by a fucking racist-ass white dude. He was playing his music loud and got shot and killed. Lucy McBath then ran for Congress. She's a hero. And she asked Bezos, like, are you selling stolen material on your website? And he was like, probably. Like, he was like, I couldn't tell you. Yes, at some point, perhaps. She was like, do you have to have an actual address as a third-party seller on your platform? I couldn't tell you that. I don't know. You don't have to have an address to sell counterfeit shit. Not, of course, in addition to the fact that mom and pop shops are being obliterated by Amazon. But it was an interesting moment. And you're absolutely right, Carlos, revealed that the money's good. The money's fucking solid.
They
and
really
I am
only prepped for this when they have to go in front of Congress. Like if you did not bring this up in a hearing where they were worried about regulation, they would truly never even think about this stuff because it's just not their MO. Like why would Jeff Bezos care about that shit? It doesn't affect him in any way unless he's worried about getting regulated.
Carlos, I want to ask you so many things. I really want you to come back to the show and let's do some extended interviews. Let's give the people what they want, more content. But we have to move to our last segment right now.
Those people are so greedy. It's just insatiable maw of content consumption.
Yeah, they're greedy. They're greedy as fuck. That's why they need to tip TBR-Live at Venmo, TBR Live Cash App. I haven't gotten a single notification. God damn it, this is sad. This is sad. Usually I got like 5 or 6 by now.
They don't care about races.
I can take my shirt and socks off if you want. I can light a candle and try to make this more sexy if that will help the tip thing. If you want.
I know. I realize I have too many lights on.
Too many lights.
Look, you're already wearing a tank top, Carlos. I don't know if the internet can handle you being sexier.
It's so hot in New York. It's so fucking hot in New York, guys. I'm dying right now. Global warming is killing me.
We're going to move to our last segment. Carlos, we have a tradition on the Bitchuation Room, which is new segment. But we're going to break with our tradition of no traditions and do a traditional segment out of tradition.
Cool.
And
tradition.
Tradition. That is a better musical that I want stuck in my head. There, I said it. It is called My Sources Say. This is the game where we predict what's going to happen in the future. And just, you're a journalist, so it's like, whatever, you know how this game works. You make a prediction about an election and you're wrong, and then you don't get held accountable for it because whatever, it's fine. My sources say. So I'm going to give you a little prompt, and you and Nato and myself, we're all going to answer. My sources say, come 2030, Facebook will be.
Come 2030, Facebook will be Skynet and launch the nukes.
Is that an Iron Man reference?
Terminator, bro.
Oh, right. Sorry. I let another pew pew.
You got to step up your nerd game.
Yeah, I know. That's action movie game. That's fine. Carlos, come 2030, Facebook will be?
Come 2030, Facebook will be beating Fox News at its own game. I think by that point, more conservative audiences will be tuning into Facebook to get their information than will be actually turning on Fox News on their TV. I think Fox News is facing its real challenger from Facebook.
From ONN or OAN or whatever the hell that awful.
But they'll all be publishing on Facebook and getting mad traffic. Like, who will need a TV at that point anymore? It'll just be Facebook all the time. And all of us will have hopefully left or died or both.
Okay, I'm missing my sources say, but I will say come 2030, my sources say Facebook will be broken apart by President Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Hell yeah.
Nationalized. And there will be very good porn on it as well.
Ooh, into
very
that.
High quality, high production value.
Socks. The No Socks Act of 2030. Get it done.
No socks and nothing but pedicured feet.
Yeah, no laundry in the background.
Yeah.
Francesca, I love that you are playing My Sources Say like Simon Says. Like, my sources didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't count unless you say my sources say.
My bad.
All right. It won't come true. All right. The next Republican to die of COVID, my sources say, will be. Ooh, I haven't thought about this one. The next Republican, y'all, let us know in the comments. The next Republican to die from COVID, my sources say, will be
Stephen Miller. Because the goddess is listening to my prayers.
Yep.
And will smite his ass.
Smite his ass. Hashtag smite his ass. I like that one. His wife already had it or has it.
Right.
So it's there. It's always within striking distance of the important people. Carlos, any thoughts on which Republican?
My sources say the next Republican to die of COVID will, by the time they die, be a very popular guest on Bill Maher. It'll be someone in the Bill Maher green room who's going on to make some leftist too woke screed and gets it at the snack table.
Yeah. I think that's right. Okay. The next Republican to die from COVID, my sources say, is not the person I want necessarily. I feel like I don't know who it's going to be, but I feel like it'll be another person of color because COVID, it gives and it takes kind of thing. But it's got, why did it have to be Herman Cain? Like, I fucking hate Herman Cain, but really, like, the Black Republican. So it'll be Ted Cruz, dude. I don't know if you guys seen his face. He is Latino, by the way. He's Cuban.
He's Cuban. He's one of ours.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Cubans would call that guy white.
Of NATO and of Nuestro. NATO lived in Cuba, Carlos. I don't know if you knew that.
I heard.
Yeah. He'll tell you all about it. But Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz's facial hair is already like it's like allergic to a mask. I don't know if you've seen it. I talked about it with John Idarola that it looks like a possum dressing up as a Civil War soldier. It's disgusting and it's amazing. It's going to be
Ted Cruz's face looks like the last moment before the faces melt off at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, that's good. That's really good.
Like his skin is trying to evacuate from his face.
Always.
Yeah.
We need better Cubans in politics. It can't be me, but someone's got to take up the mantle. I'm sick of this shit.
I think it's got to be you.
All right. I'll try my best. I got to find sleeves first.
You don't need sleeves. You just put a blazer on top of that, baby. It's fine.
Good point. Good
Sweat
point.
right through it. Right through it. All right. My sources say the country that most Americans will seek asylum in come 2021 will be...
Okay.
OBS. I'm going to go with New Zealand. They're already looking into passports. First of all, this is all wishful thinking because every country has closed its borders to us.
Sure.
But if you're in New Zealand right now and you're watching this or listening, like, I am a great housemate. And once again, solid repertoire of stews.
It's a good pitch. I'd take you. I'd take you in.
Thanks. Carlos?
Okay. My sources say... I think it will be Italy. Hear me out.
Ooh.
I saw some article that says that there are these small towns in Italy that nobody lives in that are giving away money if you come live there and like start a life there. And everyone is feeling the crunch right now. You want me to go live in the mountains of Italy with a goat? Absolutely, yeah. And you're going to pay me? Absolutely. You know how many good ingredients you can get for a goat stew out there? Work together on this bad boy. We'll be eating like kings and queens.
Do you have to bear children? This is the problem. Or can you just have goats as children?
I sure hope not, because then I need a plan B. But I'm assuming that they'll let gay guys come just like flip the house and sell it for a profit. So that's going to be my game plan.
Flip the castle.
Flip the castle.
Hey, Carlitos is going to flip the castle and then live here with his goat.
It's me with a paintbrush. Like, I don't know how to fucking decorate, but I guess that's what I'm here for. I'm just like painting white eggshell on all the walls.
So in the comments, Steven says, let's go to Cuba. I have to agree. Cuba's crushing it with coronavirus right now. And like, one of the advantages of being like a lightweight police state is like when the government says like everyone stay inside, fucking everyone stays inside. Like, like my friends in Cuba are emailing me being like, can you believe it? I saw 4 people with no masks on. This is it is offensive, like they have internalized that like we're all in this together and we follow the rules and this is the system and this is how we're going to beat the thing. And hopefully someday tourists will come back and then, fumamos y bailamos.
we have a light police state. We just don't use it to enforce the mask rule. So, like, we have
Right.
all the cops and the fear, but none of the effective use of authoritarianism.
That's
Yeah, we just
exactly
use it for
right.
all the wrong stuff.
Totally.
God damn it, that's so fucking right. Oh, Carlos, that's the realest thing you've said.
Abolish the
maybe
police
ever.
except the man police, like the mask police. Like, don't abolish them until after this is over, and then we can abolish them.
Dude, we could go on. I could go on for so long about that because yes, I'm like, can we just at least get? I want like, as my friend Kate said, a police officer. You know, like just someone monitoring the COVID, making sure you've got a mask on. You know, a officer, a police officer. Let's all keep our germs to ourselves.
That's so good. I hate it. It's gonna be stuck in my head like Hamilton now, officer.
Yeah. All right. One final one. My sources say that in a year's time, so August 2nd, 2021, Mike Pence will be.
Ooh. Okay.
Mike Pence will be several months into the first year. It will have been a few months of the Biden administration and then several months of the Karen Bass administration. And so he'll have some time on his hands.
Already in a year by August 2nd.
Yeah, Biden will have. It turns out he had some tainted hair plugs, and they gave him some brain worms, and he died tragically.
I love this eulogy. Yeah. So there were some bad hair plugs, and then he got some brain worms, and then he died.
He got some dodgy hair plugs, and then he died. And then so Mike Pence had time on his hands, out of office, nothing to do, just like gets super into polyamory, starts to find himself, starts calling everyone mother, just like a straight up fuckboy.
That's his safe word.
Okay. My sources say that in a year's time, Mike Pence will be in a provincial town in Italy, flipping a house by painting the walls eggshell white.
That's great. My sources say in a year's time, Mike Pence will be with Richard Branson surfing, and post a picture of himself or water skiing or whatever it was, and post a shirtless picture of himself having a grand old time with Richard Branson, with whom he will begin a relationship with.
Okay.
So it'll be like, haha, Obama, I can do it too. Wait a minute. My blonde sees your blonde. They're the same blonde white.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Sorry. We've heavily discussed what it would be like to kiss Joe Biden on this show. We have not discussed any other politician, but you can handle a Mike Pence, Richard Branson.
You're right.
Fanfic right now, or non-fanfic. What's the opposite of a fanfic? What is?
I think dystopian fiction.
Or faux fic. It's a faux fic.
Okay. A faux fic. I like it. Carlos Maza, you're so wonderful. Thank you for being on the Bituation Room.
Thanks for having me.
Follow Carlos at Gay Wonk on Twitter and on Instagram, but mostly watch his 20-minute labor of love videos on YouTube. They're great and so well researched.
Thanks.
Yeah. They really are. All right. Take care, Carlos. Be
Thanks
safe.
for having me, guys.
Stay hot. He knew what I meant. It's like stay cool, stay hot. Mm-hmm. Nato Green, you've been wonderful. Everyone, check out the Whiteness album.
It's my album.
Oh, yeah. That's NATO's album. I'm plugging it.
Yeah, thank you. Whiteness album, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all the things.
We should just refer to them as Bezos, Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Although, can you follow anyone on Amazon? Follow NATO's wish list on Amazon.
I actually think that my best royalty numbers right now are if you buy the Whiteness album through Amazon Music. I get nice couple bucks there.
That's okay.
Anyway,
put it back into the system. All right. Thank you, NATO.
Everybody. Thanks.
And thank you all for listening and watching and being here. Please remember to rate this podcast, give it 5 stars, do all the things, and tip us. We're donating, and we have donated to Raíces in Texas to help people who are DACA recipients continue and fight for their cases and defy this POS in the White House and his little chud wolf by his side. And remember, we're voting. We're voting in November. We're voting for Joe Biden. Right? Okay, because John Lewis took a bat to the head so that we had the right to vote. And because the alternative is this.
And by the way, I just ended the rule on suburbs. You know, the suburbs, people fight all of their lives to get into the suburbs and have a beautiful home. There will be no more low-income housing forced into the suburbs. We rescinded the rule 3 days ago. So enjoy your life, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your life.
Fuck off. Oh, he swallowed the dog whistle, everybody. Thank you so much. Be well and see you next time.